You have shipwrecked on a seemingly deserted island with 3 others. Now you guys just might be castaways trying to build a giant bonfire so that you can signal a ship that's passing by and get rescued. Or perhaps you were actually on a religious expedition and this is a cursed island and you were coming here to exorcise the demons that have haunted this island. And even though you've shipwrecked, you still need to carry out what your plan was. You just have to find the right supplies to be able to pull it off. Or maybe, more unfortunately, you've ended up on a cannibal island. That's right, an island full of crazy cannibals. And your job is to survive by actually making your way to the cannibal village and stopping them from raiding you in the middle of the night. Whatever the scenario is that you choose from Robinson Crusoe, it is going to be a tough, brutal challenge. This is a brilliant worker placement co-op survival game, and it's about as hard as they come, but it also is about as good as they come. If you have never played Robinson Crusoe and you love co-op games, you owe it to yourself to 1, watch this video and find out what the game is all about, and 2, order it now. It is absolutely fantastic. Each player starts with 2 pawns. These are your workers, used each round to determine what you're going to focus on accomplishing. You also get a unique role, with 4 abilities you can activate by spending determination tokens. Each also gets a unique invention they can develop that will help everyone in their quest to survive. This is your wound track. Every time you take a wound, you move the marker forward. When you pass over these morale markers, the morale of the whole camp goes down by 1, because watching your friends bleed out is pretty demoralizing. A few things about the board. This is your morale level. This shows your roof level. The better the roof, the more protected you are from the elements. This is your palisades level. It keeps you safe from animals and other disasters. You need to build a shelter before you can build either of these. This is your weapon level. The higher the level, the less likely you are to be injured by wild animals. These are your available inventions. The top shows the prerequisite. Often it's discovering a type of land, like mountains. And this is the benefit for building the invention. This is your camp, where you start the game. You'll explore more of the island and reveal more tiles soon enough. Regardless of your chosen scenario, a round in Robinson Crusoe plays out pretty much the same way. The board is smartly numbered, showing you the order of each phase. First comes the event phase, because bad can't wait to happen. Except for the first round, when this phase is ignored, you will flip over an event card, which has an immediate effect, often something bad. It goes down here as a threat. If you don't solve it by meeting its conditions here, it will eventually be pushed off the board. Then this other bad thing will happen. Hooray for bad things happening! Then comes the morale phase. The first player token moves clockwise each round. Whoever has it is impacted by this phase. If morale is low, that player owes determination tokens. If it's high, they gain some. So what happens if you don't have determination tokens to pay? You take a wound for each one you're short, because pain. In the production phase, you gain resources for where you've set up camp. Then comes the real fun, the action phase. Here, everyone works at the same time, determining where best to place their workers. For most tasks, you can choose to place 1 or 2 workers. If you place only 1 worker, well, you have another to place somewhere else. But here's the catch. You put that worker at risk and must roll some dice. Bad dice. If you place 2 workers, the action is guaranteed to succeed. No dice rolled, no risk taken, but 1 less worker to place somewhere else. When every worker is placed, it's time to resolve all those actions. To do this, you continue following the numbered sequence that starts at the bottom of the board. First, you resolve threats. If you place the right resources on a card, it's resolved. You get a reward and the card goes bye-bye. Then it's off to go hunting if there are beasts in the hunting spot. 2 workers are always required for hunting. Good news, hunting always succeeds. Bad news, hunting usually leaves you wounded and sometimes worse. When we hunt, we reveal the top card of the Beast deck. This is its strength. If your weapon level is lower than this, you take wounds to make up the difference. Youch. This is how much fighting the beast decreases your weapon level. This is how much food you gain, and how many furs you get. Now it's time to build. Building covers a lot of things, but the most important are building inventions. Here I want to get some rope, but I only place one worker on the spot, so he takes a risk trying to make rope. I roll 3 building dice. The first tells me I suffered a wound doing this, like cutting myself or whatever. The next die tells me if I succeeded or not. A V is for victory. The other symbols give me 2 determination tokens as consolation for failing. Last is the adventure die. If it's a question mark, I draw a card from the build deck. Usually, bad happens. Gathering resources and exploration work the same way. If I succeed at exploration, I can flip over a tile. These are the resources produced by this tile. This is the type of land, which likely opens up new inventions. This symbol means I take a discovery token. A good thing. Yes, an actual good thing! And this mystery icon has specific results based on the scenario we're playing. These 2 options are much more chill. Arranging the camp boosts morale or provides determination tokens, and resting heals 1 wound. These actions are luxuries you will rarely have time to take. Then you deal with bad weather. Some scenarios make you roll weather dice, count up the rain clouds, compare the number to your roof level, and suffer wounds for the difference. Lastly comes the night phase. Yay, sleep and food. Oh wait, do we have enough food? Everyone must eat 1 food. If you don't have enough, someone starves, taking 2 wounds. Oh, and if you haven't built a shelter, you're exposed to the cold night air and everyone takes, say it with me now, 1 wound. That's 1 round of Robinson Crusoe. How many rounds a game lasts and the victory conditions depends on the scenario chosen. Good luck, you're gonna need it. I love cooperative games. Honestly, if there was a co-op game out there, chances are I have it on my game shelf and have played it multiple times, right? I love Marvel Legendary, I love Arkham Horror, Elder Sign, Pandemic. I mean, if it's out there and it's a co-op game, I've probably played it. And I have to say, none of them, and there are some great ones, right? But none of them come even close to the intensity, the challenge, and I think the sheer design brilliance of Robinson Crusoe. The first, just thematically, I think it's something you can all relate to, right? Being stranded on a desert island, and whatever of the 6 scenarios that come in the box that you choose, you are always stranded on a desert island. You just have a different purpose and sort of different goals and some different things that might happen in the game depending on what tiles you turn up here as you're exploring, but it's still the core of the game is always going to be the same. And that core is really good and very, very, very punishing, right? So you've got food that you have to worry about, which is always going to be an issue. You've always got to be trying to produce enough food to feed everybody because you're constantly getting wounds, and wounds hurt your morale, and then morale costs you determination tokens on different people's turns, and that losing the determination tokens means that you can't use your special abilities, which you really have to harness in order to beat this game. And then you've got to, how do I build and where do I go? And it's just, to me, this is maybe one of the best worker placement games too. Just forget about co-op. And the reason for that is that you have to make tough choices every round. Because think about how brilliant this is. If you spend 2 workers, you can guarantee any task is going to succeed without any dangers. And that sounds great, right? Let's explore this tile and use 2 guys and we don't have to worry about it. But here's the thing. You can start the game thinking that's gonna happen, but towards the end, you're gonna need stuff. You're gonna need to build more things. You're gonna need to solve some of these threats that are on the board. You're gonna need to start maybe fighting animals to get furs. You're gonna need to build up the roof. And there's just too many things to do to be able to put 2 workers on everything. So then you gotta start thinking, where do we take our chances, right? Do we guarantee that we're gonna build the map because that's really gonna help us? It gives us an extra explorer token that we can use for exploration. That is huge, right? Huge. But do I put 2 guys on there to ensure that? And then what do I risk, right? Do I risk exploring another tile? Do I risk production? Like, let's say I put 1 guy just to gather food and I'm thinking, we only need 1 food, not a big deal. I put 1 guy on there, first of all, he's gotta roll dice, right? To see, does he even gather the food, right? He could succeed, but there's still always that chance that he's gonna fail. Usually succeed, there's 5 victories on the gather success die, but there's still 1 chance of failure when you do it alone. And then you can still get wounded, which is bad, right? Getting wounded is just a fact of life in this game, but it is punishing. And then you can end up with a mystery card, and those usually aren't the best things in the world either. There's just so much to it. So there's this brilliant, it's like give and take of risk reward. I mean, think about a hunting, and it's really funny that you have these dice, right, for randomizing the chances of succeeding and what's gonna happen to you when you build, when you produce, or when you explore. You would think, right, any other game would say, you've gotta have dice when you go and hunt, right? It would be insane not to have the randomness of a battle, but when you hunt one, you have to have 2 people assigned to hunt no matter what, but you are guaranteed you're gonna win. The question is just how well do you succeed based on what you're gonna turn over. So if it's something like a lion, you need really high weapon level because you can still kill the lion. It's just you're gonna take damage if your weapon strength isn't high. If you think about it in terms of, okay, maybe we have a bow and arrow and it's a flaming bow and arrow, whatever you wanna imagine in your own narrative, and that when we're at like a 4 or something like that, and we meet something that is equal to that, we have something strong enough. But if you think about it like we have a weapon level 1, maybe we just have a puny, like sharpened stick, and we meet something like even a boa, right? A sharpened stick against a boa, your chances are you're gonna get hurt trying to do that. You're gonna kill it, but you're gonna get hurt doing it. I think all of that is just brilliant, and that there's weapon degradation on most of the animals too, that even if you had a gun somehow and you are fighting a lion, that it's gonna still take away from that because, well, right, you're gonna shoot bullets, right? So the usefulness, you might expend all the bullets on the gun, whatever you want to say happen, your weapon level is also gonna go down for fighting this beast, but none of it's randomized. I think that is a real twist, right? You just wouldn't see most games that have dice involved that wouldn't have dice in combat, and yet it works so well. I can't say enough how much I absolutely love this game. I love playing it, and this is the how is this possible aspect of this game. So we talked about the scenarios, right? It's like Cannibal Island where you're hunting down cannibals who are hunting you at the same time. There's a volcano island with a volcano is gonna erupt at any moment and you've got to escape. All of these cool things. And then the expansion is, what would you think would be? It would be Monster Island, right? No. The expansion is The Voyage of the Beagle. These are the adventures of Charles Darwin as he hunts down and basically writes his theory of evolution. That is the 5 scenarios included in the expansion. And it still uses this board, it has a really nice setup, it looks beautiful, and you even get to play as Charles Darwin. But just think about that. We're talking about a survival horror type game at its core that can then also be used as something as weird and unexpected as helping Charles Darwin gather samples. And it still has that same level of intensity. Like, what game anywhere does that? And that's what I love about it. It just doesn't feel like anything else, but at the same time, it takes so many risks in what it does, and yet it succeeds just about everywhere. I mean, it is a brutal game. This is one of the hardest co-op games I've ever played. Even just, you don't have to increase difficulty level. It is difficult naturally, but it is just so much fun, and it builds a narrative unlike any other game. You know, Dead of Winter is great for narrative because you get those crossroad cards, right? And the crossroad cards give you very big text of here's a narrative that you're speaking. But Robinson Crusoe is a game that it isn't very text heavy, and yet from this game, we've had real narratives. We feel a real experience coming through by the things that are happening. That's incredible. I can't recommend Robinson Crusoe enough. This is not just my favorite co-op game of all time, and I would argue the best co-op game ever made, but I think this might just be in the pantheon of top 3 best games I have ever played. I absolutely love this game. It just hits every switch for me. It's just the kind of game that I can dig into and love, and I hope that you give it a try because I think most people will fall in love with it too. So that is Robinson Crusoe. Thanks again for watching. If you are enjoying the Dog and Thimble videos, please click that subscription link right above me. Subscribe to our channel. We'll keep making cool videos, and let us know in the comments if you'd like to see us do a playthrough of Robinson Crusoe.